So I got to know, what is a Christmas adjacent movie and why the hell are we watching Passion of the Christ this week?
I'll answer the first part. A Christmas adjacent movie is a film that has Christmas in it, but Christmas is not central to the plot. There's no Christmas spirit or feeling or Santa Claus.
I guess I'll answer the second, as I'm the one that picked the film this week. You know what? I'm really into spoilers. So for Christmas, it's kind of the spoiler for Christmas.
Yeah, the Easter spoiler.
You want to know how it is?
That's cinema, baby.
No, Mr. Wilson. I don't have to take that kind of talk from anyone.
That's right, you don't. How about going outside and trying to kick me around?
I'm not supposed to fight with the guests, Mr. Wilson.
I'm not a guest tonight, you yellow bastard. I happen to be an intruder.
Hello, and welcome back to the end of season 15 of The Good, the Pod, and the Ugly, a film podcast where we traditionally pair films from the filmographies of notable actors or directors. We just finished up Squib season. We had a few extra bonuses there, and now we're finishing up the year with the winter solstice and our tradition of a Christmas-adjacent movie. I'm Thomas.
I'm Ken.
I'm Ryan.
And we're joined at the end of this year with Jack, who joined us a lot this year. Hi.
So, yeah, Ryan, you asked. This week we're covering The Passion of the Christ, 2004's Mel Gibson directed, R-rated blockbuster, feel-good movie of the year. And I think the longer version of your question, Ryan, or the answer to your question about why, is that when I was tasked with choosing this year's ultimate, which is different than penultimate, it's the last movie of the year for the Christmas season, I thought that we hadn't done a good enough job over years prior of putting the Christ back into Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, what other Christ movies would there be? I thought about South Park and The Last Temptation of Christ, and one of my personal favorites, Monty Python's Life of Brian.
Oh, that would have been a good one.
Yeah, thank you. But I also kind of pride myself on a certain amount of open-mindedness as I get into my mid-20s. And I thought I could, I was like, you know what? I've never seen Passion of the Christ. I think I can appreciate a film that has a decent reputation and is made by a decent, as far as craft, filmmaker. And so that's why I pitched it, and you all took it. Also, this is going to be really good prep for our next season with Gray, because I've never seen this film, and I chose it blindly. We're doing a whole season of James Gray films, and Ken and I have not seen a single one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had not seen the Passion either. That's another reason I jumped on it.
And Thomas, this is the last year you're allowed to pick the Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah. Next year is Ryan, and the year after that is me. And we'll have some excuse not to have Thomas do it after that.
Well, because I nailed it my first go, I guess, is what we're saying. I just knocked it out of the park. So, yeah, like I said, this is my first viewing. Sounds like it's your first, Ken. Ryan and Jack.
This is the third time I've seen it. I saw it in the theaters on initial release, and then I saw it a year later when it came out on DVD, and then I saw it on Friday night.
On Blu-ray?
On Blu-ray. From the
You got the
Multnomah
hat
County
trick
Library.
for this movie.
Yeah.
Shout out. Well done.
Shout out to the Multnomah County Library. That's right, Jack.
We watched this on Netflix, and it's a shorter version than the theatrical version. I tried to look online what the differences were.
Oh.
And I couldn't really find a whole lot other than a few inserts of gore.
And shout out Netflix this week, by the way. Lots of good stuff happening over there.
Yes.
That's a little disappointing, Ken, because I think you maybe watched the Passion recut and missed out on the...
I looked up every version available for streaming, and it's the same one with the same amount of time. It's 2 hours and 6 minutes. Every single one was the exact same version. So I had no other choice. Even if I paid, it would have been the same version. So.
Huh. Well, this is hot content. I'm not sure that yours was any longer or shorter than the one I watched, Ken. on the Blu-ray, also from the Multnomah County Library.
Shout out again.
Well, I was surprised, just given this film's reputation. I mean, it is pretty darn gnarly for the amount of money it made, how huge of a release it was, how many people went and saw it. But I was expecting it to be a lot gorier and nastier than it actually was, just given its reputation. So
actually same, but we're getting close to reactions, Jack, and we've got a long way to go.
Okay.
We have so much slow motion and so many falls to the ground. Like it's like Charlie Chaplin-esque how many falls this guy takes. So 2004, we also saw the movie Collateral from that year and covered it. Manchurian Candidate, of course, the Meryl Streep one. The Pryor one, the Frankenheimer. $1 Million Baby.
Yeah, ooh, classic.
And a pod favorite, The Maldonado Miracle.
Yeah.
The hell is
another
that?
Religious movie. That's a TV movie Selma Hayek directed.
Okay, great. Yeah, cool.
With Ruben Blades, right?
And Peter Fonda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boxing.
Not a bad movie.
Okay.
Is that it? Okay.
I mean, that's all we've seen. Yeah, surprisingly. 2004, I guess the $1 Million Baby year.
Yes. One of Eastwood's best.
But you had said, Jack, and I want to keep some of this for reactions, but yeah, this is a rated R movie, and I think it's the most successful in the box office for a rated R movie. Definitely rated R religious movie, which might be a category of one.
Yeah, they don't tend to get R ratings very often.
But I think it's also the most I think it's the highest box office of a rated R movie, aside from maybe American Snipers. Do you have anything on that, Tobias?
Yeah, Wolverine and Deadpool outgrossed it. Was the first movie to beat it at the box office, but it is still the most successful independent movie of all time.
Yeah.
Did Deadpool say they were bigger than Jesus as some type of self-referential?
I'm sure he did on his social feed. I'm sure you could find it on the Tickety Talk, you young snapper.
Wait, a young snapper?
I forgot to say snapper. Young whippersnapper. That's what I was going for.
Snapper is early 20th century slang for prostitute. What are you saying?
There were definitely some whippers in this movie.
And some snappers.
We know that every member of Gen Z gets an OnlyFans membership when they turn 18, so I don't know what Thomas is doing in his free time.
I personally have an Only Air Conditioners subscription.
Before we get too much in the movie, anybody listening who is a devout Christian and loves this movie for how it touches their soul. I am not a believer at this point in my life. I was earlier, being raised in a really weird subset of Christianity. So I was big time, and now I'm no time. So I'm not really the audience for it. So I'm going to try and stick to just the filmatism of the movie and not get into any religious talk.
I don't know how closely I can hew to that respectability, but yeah, I'm also like we're raised Protestant and no longer believe in the least. But Ryan, you were Catholic, and so this might actually help a lot because I was lost at some of this. Passion isn't something that I thought passion was like a fruit or something that, you know, if you're a Morris and you want to get it on, something you could be passionate about. I didn't like understand what I was actually going in for by the title, because passion plays aren't something that we had in our church.
Yes, I am a lapsed Catholic, but I know a lot about the dogma and stuff, and I have a whole lot to say about the religion portrayed in this movie. Mostly from a historical perspective, you know.
Jack, you have the book report this week. You read the Bible, is my understanding.
I have read quite a bit of the Bible in my life. Not necessarily for this movie, though. And I do have a lot to say about that.
Very good.
And there are two sources for this, is my understanding, right?
There's 3 main sources, but two that are really the primary sources.
And a chick tract from the 1980s. You Zoomers won't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't try and explain it to how. I don't know. I guess all your audience is just old dads, so that's fine. I guess the Dolores Passion is the title of the visions that a woman had in the late or early 1800s. That
Yes,
she was canonized.
A Catholic. No, it's not canonized, and that's one of the important distinctions.
Oh, I
yes,
thought she was canonized, but maybe that's a different word. She became a saint? Saintess? No, she did not.
A
Okay.
saint. She's acknowledged by the church as a holy person, like, so more spiritual than your average person, but her works do not rise to the level of sainthood, and the Catholic Church barely acknowledges this material and doesn't treat it as dogma. So the way it's portrayed in the film by Mel Gibson, who is a crazy kind of Catholic, he's not by any means a normal Catholic. He thinks the Pope is the Antichrist, like a lot of evangelicals do. So the idea that this is some sort of text based in religious dogma is pretty far afield, even though it's widely accepted at this point.
I guess I could have also chosen Dogma as a movie for us to have watched.
Wait, so what are these visions that this woman had? How is the movie based on these?
Sure. So for the unfamiliar, the trial and crucifixion of Jesus is covered in all four of the sanctioned gospels that are in the Bible.
Yeah.
There are many more Gnostic gospels that portray these events differently, but those are not official dogma in the Catholic Church, so we don't really talk about them very much. But the amount of pages devoted to the trial and crucifixion, like a lot of the Bible, is scant. It's like 20, 25 pages at most, spread across the four gospels. So there's very little detail about that. In the Middle Ages, when the church, like a lot of society, was turning very dark and kind of gothic in its approach to stuff, a lot of priests and monks spent their time contemplating what Jesus must have gone through during the trial and the crucifixion. And so the Stations of the Cross and some other things that people think of as being related to the crucifixion were made up then. But Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, the nun who published a book in 1833 about her visions of the Passion of the Christ, she was working, 1800 years after Jesus died, and she had a series of literal fever dreams. She was sick, but in this series of dreams, she was given vision of what Jesus's last 2 days on earth were actually like, and so many of the details, the scourging and the weapons used, the way the crown of thorns was behaved, the constant cackling of the Roman soldiers, Satan being on hand, all of this stuff is actually from her visions. It's not based in any dogma. And the Catholic Church acknowledges this as what's called a private revelation, which means there are public revelations which they share with everyone and say, like, this person had a vision of God and we think this is a real accurate vision, so we're sharing it out. Private revelations, it's like a pat on the head and like, it's nice that this brought you closer to Jesus, but they don't tell anybody to look at it. They don't suggest that it's in any way official or has any relationship to, quote unquote, like the historical reality of Jesus.
So what specifically of her visions is in this movie that is not considered part of official dogma? Where's the line where it's like, oh, this was all fever dream and this was stuff that's in the Gospels?
So like, without going in and quoting directly scripture, we know that he was, we don't know. I shouldn't say that because I don't believe this stuff necessarily, but in the Bible, it's mentioned that he was beaten by the Roman soldiers. What that looked like, felt like, how the soldiers acted, the types of weapons used, the severity and the length of the beatings. none of that is portrayed in the Bible. And then the way the Jews responded to all of this, and they being the bloodthirsty crowd who's calling for Jesus's crucifixion. In the Bible, it's much more Pontius Pilate's decision, and he is weighing some political stuff, and the Jewish Pharisees have urged him to condemn Jesus and stuff, but the decision to crucify Jesus and the way that all plays out is very much a Roman decision, not a Jewish one.
And that's an important distinction.
Yes. So overall, the brutality along with the mysticism is really stuff that all comes from her, that Satan is kind of on hand manipulating everything, and that the Romans are kind of just trying to get it over with, and they don't really care what happens. All of this stuff is her injection. And again, Mel Gibson freely incorporate. I mean, the movie is much more an adaptation of her work than it is of the Gospels. I guess to say in short.
That adds a lot of really important context because, I did zero research on this going in, but that's one of the things, not to get into reactions, but one of the things that I bumped up against in this movie is how it portrays those sections of scripture. So knowing that it's not even really based on those is, I think, a really important distinction.
Very enlightening. So in her visions, Ryan, was Satan kind of hot?
She doesn't describe Satan as being hot or not, but it is so something that theologians have pondered over the years is whether nuns in particular, but the church overall, casts kind of a sexualized element onto the crucifixion. Someone like Anne Catherine Emmerich is in a is not in a monastery, is in a convent, and is spending all of her time contemplating Jesus and talking to other nuns about Jesus. And so a nun in this situation...
they're saying things like, that dude got nailed and he was hung like this.
You can, yes, you can see how a woman who's pressed into the church at a young age and has a sexual awakening during that time might channel all of her energy into Jesus and what he went through, creating a sort of twisted S&M cast to the whole thing. And And I talked to, I consulted with Chaplain Amy pretty significantly about this movie, and a couple interesting
friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod, Chaplain Amy. A couple things that she pointed out. She pointed me towards a evangelical theologian who did a lot of historical work about how sexual assault and humiliation was typically part of the crucifixion process. And so while it's not in the movie or in the text, it wouldn't be uncharacteristic if there was, if Jesus was sexually assaulted during this process, and that plays a role in kind of how the whole thing is shaped as well. Finally, the last thing I'll say about this is, so the traditional Catholic view of the crucifixion is that Jesus died for our sins and suffered for our sins. So essentially, so we don't have to. Jesus went through this terrible pain for the whole world. And anyone who is called to believe in him certainly doesn't deserve sin and punishment. It happens to everyone, but it's like, it's just part of being mortal. It's not something that you actively, call upon yourself. Whereas evangelicals, for whom this was, the evangelical community is what drove this movie to its huge box office success. They are called to be martyrs like Christ. And so when I see this movie, it's supposed to mean, look at all this stuff this guy suffered for you. Aren't you grateful? When they see this movie, it's like, when you are called to martyrdom, will you be willing to put up with this much suffering? Like, can you be like Jesus and take this kind of flailing and humiliation and death? If you're not, then you're not worthy of him and you're not worthy of the faith, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, because watching this film, I ended up watching it twice.
Wow.
Watching this film, like Jack, I've read a lot of the Bible. Unlike Jack, perhaps, I was raised Christian, so I have like a bad understanding. Like I already have things colored for how it's supposed to be somewhere in the Bible because of a story or osmosis versus actual text.
Mm-hmm.
Does that part make sense?
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure on some of the things like, well, I mean, this might be a question for you, Ryan. Was it the visions, the private visions that the woman in the 1800s had, or was it in the Bible that Jesus invented a table? Like, because he invents tables. I was like, wow, I don't remember that. I remember him being a carpenter. I'm pretty sure they had tables beforehand, but I guess that makes sense of how the Last Supper is such a big deal because they're all sitting at a table. And man,
they would have been sitting on a carpet on the floor, right? It was historically accurate. But no, it's a new kind of table. It's never been done before. And his mom was like, this is never going to catch on.
Well, the other crazier thing, so the first time I watched it, I watched it maybe with like a little bit of sacrament. The second time I watched it sober. And I don't know what the attraction is about the table. But he pretends to sit down in a fake chair, as does Mary, his mom. And that seems to be like the magic trick, or I have no understanding about like how that scene was in there. But I'm assuming that was part of the private vision and not something I just skipped over, like a quick line, a verse in the Bible.
To my knowledge, there's no acknowledged or unacknowledged Catholic testimony about the creation of the first table. I think that's a Gibson special.
It's a good one.
Is that what Gibson thinks Jesus was up to in the 33 years of the Bible that we sort of skip over? We get he was a carpenter, he amassed a bunch of followers. Is that what Gibson thinks happened? He invented a table and he got all those people to follow him?
Speaking of inventions, I have a question. Was that much plastic around back then? I'm talking about the sets early in the film.
Or the Roman armor? The Spirit Halloween armor?
Well, you were watching on streaming. If you watch it on the Blu-ray, like you can get from the Multnomah County Library,
shout out.
You see that it's all authentic. Like it's something with the rendering of it. It looks a lot better probably on the Blu-ray.
No, I'm thinking.
Speaking of Gibson, I was hoping we could run through real quick if we've seen some of his other films prior to this and subsequent to it, because I think some of you did research or did some extra credits. So
I did a Letterboxd pincer movement. In Letterboxd, the ratings of the films had Apocalypto before The Passion and Flight Risk right after, and The Passion's kind of like the meat of the sandwich. So I watched Flight Risk earlier this week, and then Ryan came over and we watched Apocalypto a couple days ago before watching The Passion, because I kind of wanted to feel more of Gibson. And Braveheart is a movie that I like. I wanted an idea of Gibson outside of The Passion as a director. Flight Risk, which came out earlier this year, is a almost unwatchable piece of CGI.
Was it his highest or his lowest? Or
lowest.
How did that?
It was lower than The Passion. It is a terrible movie. There's little going on for it other than I like Topher Grace, which is a weird thing to say. But yeah, he's enjoyable. Mark Wahlberg, one of the worst performances I've ever seen in a Mark Wahlberg movie, which puts it high in the running for worst performance of all time.
Wait, that one takes place on an airplane, right?
Yeah.
Is he trying to stop it from crashing into the World Trade Center?
I mean, so a lot of people, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Gibson was just getting money to make his Jesus sequels. That's complete garbage, because Gibson made more money than his Holy Father God. From The Passion, he doesn't need the money. He did it as a directorial tune-up, figuring out these green screen type sound stages where he's going to have the cosmic element of Jesus' journey to resurrection or whatever. And if that is the case, then good luck to fans of The Passion waiting for those two sequels. Then Apocalypto, which came out after The Passion, and the studio just gave him a bunch of money to make another Dead Language period piece, is a gorgeously made movie. The sets are all practical. The amount of detail and the historical detail is amazing. And it's a borderline great movie. It has some dumb stuff in it that makes me a little bit more reserved, but I'm a huge fan of Apocalypto. And that's what I was expecting going into The Passion. So I was surprised when it had all the CW Canadian TV movie sets, when it had
Wow.
dark place levels of slow motion. Where it's like, it's a 90-minute movie without the slow-mo. Come on.
Yeah.
And so I was really surprised because after Apocalypto, I was like, all right, this is going to be super realistic. It's going to be like a time travel movie, like Barry Lyndon. It's going to feel so authentic. And then when I watch it, I was like, well, this is kind of a cheap piece of shit. What the fuck?
Wow.
That's a bit of a
Sounds
reaction.
like a reaction.
It is a reaction. We're almost 30 minutes in.
Thou shall not react prior to summary of the plot, at least.
That was on the tablet Moses dropped.
Yeah, I didn't go back and watch any other Gibson films, but I did end up watching because I was curious about Jim
Caviezel.
Caviezel, because apparently he was up to play Cyclops in Bryan Singer's X-Men, and we all know this because of the Singer Has Praises season of our canceled season that we never put out for Bryan Singer. That was going to be our third Gen X movie director. Anyhow, R.I.P. I was curious how good of an actor he was or could be, or something outside of this performance, because it's an
he doesn't do much in Whale.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's great in some of those flashback scenes as just being a personable human being.
Yeah.
And so I was curious, like, how he was going to get the Cyclops role in X-Men. So I watched Frequency, which he made instead. And I think he's a better Jesus.
He's gone off the deep end a little bit too since this movie. Like Gibson, do you know what movie he is making right now? He is making a biopic of Jair Bolsonaro, the imprisoned Brazilian prime minister.
Oh, no shit.
And he is making it because he believes that the deep state is what framed him. And he is like revving up the cast every day. It's like, this is the movie that's going to get him released. So he's shilling for billionaire criminals and gone a bit off the deep end.
Yeah, it's a shame about him because I think in another world he is like leading man, huge star material. I mean, the early 2000s with the Count of Monte Cristo and this movie,
and Person of Interest,
Interest,
great,
which is fantastic, and he's great in it. I think he's an amazing actor.
Same.
He's great in the.
Oh, then watch Frequency.
Watch Frequency.
Yeah, actually, I can't recommend anyone watch it. It's like a Lifetime movie that wants to be Primer. It's not very. It's terrible. But go ahead, Ryan. You were saying.
I think he's great in The Thin Red Line, and to his falling off the deep end after The Passion. He ever since Mel Gibson announced that he was recasting Jesus for the upcoming Resurrection films, Caviezel's been on socials trying to get evangelicals to boycott those movies and demand his reinstallation in the role of Jesus.
Which is what Jesus would actually do if he was here. He'd get on the socials.
Yeah, WWJCVD. I don't know how that actually goes. What Jesus?
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yeah, we get Jean-Claude Van Damme in. Exactly. Well, Jim Caviezel, I think this is secondhand. Maybe somebody did research on this, but he said this was not fated. He said this was divinely inspired that I play Jesus because my initials are the same and I'm 33 years old.
Wow.
The age that Jesus was when he was murdered / executed / committed suicide.
Yes. Or it could just be how lazy Gibson was in casting. It's like, same age, same initials, you're hired.
You want someone to play Jesus? You come to me.
Speaking of, you know that he, Gibson does make a cameo. he has this is Mel Gibson's hand job, where where he had like he gets to nail Jesus's hands into. So he's like a hand cameo.
Oh Jesus! Oh my gosh!
In the
That is
film.
ridiculous.
So that's his hands holding, and you can tell they're Australian hands because of where the generational monocles used to be over the wrists from when they were criminals. You could no, that's his hands.
So Gibson and his torture sadism streak that goes through both his performances and his directorial career is weird to me. Thinking about the passion it should be like getting it all out of your system, because where else are you going to go after this? But no, there's a lot of that kind of stuff in Apocalypto as well. It doesn't seem like something he's ever come to terms with. I don't think I've ever heard like a long conversation with him about it, why he's drawn to roles like in the Lethal Weapon movies. Like in all those movies, there's a scene where it's, we got to tie up Riggs and torture him somehow.
Yeah.
And then, even in The Road Warrior, he has to like crash, dog has to die, spoiler, before he can kind of almost resurrect himself and do something for the greater good and sacrifice himself. I find it very peculiar, and this should have been the movie that cleared the air, so to speak, about that obsessive streak. But I think it's still in him.
Wow.
Oh yeah, he's got a real martyrdom complex, and he. I think he takes pleasure in watching the suffering of himself and others on screen.
Yeah, and I think him kind of being a little bit on the outs from mainline A-list Hollywood, I think that part of him is actually happy for that, because it reinforces that feeling. And a lot of the people who still support him kind of are in that same boat. They feel like they're the ones that liberal Hollywood is persecuting, and they're like, yeah, go get them, Mel.
Yeah.
Well, I think
it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it is. And I was wondering, I don't have any information on this, but that my understanding was that the movie made its budget back just in pre-sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So in my head, that's
all
a lot
$16.
It's like this, like the GameStop stock, where it's just this. I don't know how many people saw the movie, but there were a lot of tickets sold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. He in the lead up to his release, he went around to all the mega churches and discussed the movie with them and his motivations. It's telling again that he aligns himself as a kind of really weird Catholic, but the audience for this movie was almost entirely evangelical.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the lead up to the release, there were commissioned screenings at theaters all over the country where evangelical schools would take a field trip to the movie theater. Many churches rented buses so that everybody could go see it together on a Sunday after Mass. And so, yes,
wow.
it was a huge movement in that community, and was already a hit before its wide release because of that.
You just keep using the word release, and I keep thinking about Mel Gibson's big release of his passion. It doesn't seem appropriate for this film, which is a religious film, Ryan. Have some respect.
Again, I would point you to scholarship about the relationship between the crucifixion and sexualized violence, and maybe suggest that it's not at all unrelated.
Okay, so the film opens with clouds. Mm-hmm. And a foggy forest and some murmurs, and we creep through the camera. It's kind of a POV creeping through trees. I'm just going to try and recite the entire film from memory.
No. It opens on what is basically a Star Trek set from the 1960s Star Trek.
Just quick round, because this is something that Ken's pretty adamant about. I did not find the production value lacking. Ryan?
No, and in fact, short of the violence and stuff that we will inevitably get to, I think this is a gorgeous movie. I think it looks tremendous.
I think the daytime scenes at actual locations are fine. They never explain why the ground is all wet, but it's like car commercial stuff. But the nighttime stuff, and then the interiors, particularly the early part where they're, the kangaroo court, Australia.
Mhm.
It looks terrible, and the costumes are dreadful. Like Jack said, Spirit of Halloween level. Once they get out in daytime and they're more on wider shots, and they're not doing the trying to make you think there's more people here than there really is. Of the early part, yeah, it is fine. It looks fine. But the early part of this movie is really, really awful, really cheap looking, and
Wow.
adding the random slow mos to it does not help.
Yeah, well, I think that this film has it both also wants to be, or maybe this is just a way to make it more palatable. I'm not sure, but it has horror movie and action movie vibes in it.
Mhm.
And so there's like this moment that could have been out of 300 where who's the apostle who gets his ear cut off? Like where they're in the Garden of Gethsemane, and then like soldiers come, and then there's like slow-mo battle. And
Yeah.
Jesus like waits a few minutes for some ass to be kicked before saying like, "Oh wait, who lives by the sword dies by the sword.
Yeah.
I'm about peace. Did you?" But he lets some ass kicking happen first, because that's the way a Messiah would do it.
That is so it is something that actually, one of the few things from this section that's actually in the Bible is Peter cuts a Roman soldier's ear off, and then Jesus restores the ear before being taken into custody.
Yeah.
True.
True
that it actually happened in real life.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think Gibson can make a movie that doesn't have kind of a muscular action vibe to it.
Well, and one of the most popular reviews for this movie on Letterboxd is a 5-star review from someone whose name I can't remember. Shout out, sorry. That says something like Mel Gibson tricked American audiences into paying to see a foreign language exploitation movie, which is I think, giving this a little too much credit. But I think that explains some of the cheap sort of nastiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Pod favorite Quentin Tarantino has talked a lot about this movie, and the first time I rewatched it was because after Hostel and Saw and all of the first wave of torture porn movies came out, Tarantino said the first and best torture porn movie was The Passion of the Christ. And then recently, with his controversial list of the best 25 movies of the 21st century, he put this at 12 or 13, I think, and talked at length about how it was perhaps the best horror movie of the 21st century.
Huh.
Great. I really care about his opinion a lot.
Well, I went back and rewatched it the second time based on his review, and I was into the torture porn movies at that time, and I thought, oh, this is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
We're 40 minutes in. Let's just do reactions. Jack, I want to hear your reaction. You're sitting next to me.
I think take out the slow-mo and unironically, not even as I know we've been joking about it, but if you took out all of the slow motion in this movie, it would easily be 20 minutes shorter. I think you have a decent movie then, because there's a lot that I like about it. I love Jim Caviezel in this role. I think he's fantastic, and he is clearly super dedicated to it. I don't think he has enough to do, especially in the last half. He's mostly just looking at people and falling over. So I would personally have liked a lot more of his teachings, whether that is in flashback or chronological order. But that's not the movie that we get. The movie that we get is a great concept. I actually think that in better hands, a movie just about the suffering of Christ in his last hours and how horrible and brutal it is. I think it's a great concept, and I was really prepared to like the movie quite a bit. And the other thing that I think is amazing is that it's all foreign language. There's not a lick of English. It's all Aramaic, which is a beautiful language, and a little bit of Latin and Hebrew, I believe, thrown in. So all of that stuff I think is great.
Yeah.
The slow motion, the cheapness, I was prepared to talk a little bit about how this to me, misinterprets some specific parts of the scripture that I really love. I mean, I'll show it around the studio, but my home screen on my phone is the painting Christ and the High Priest by Gerard Thorst, I think his name is. I think it's one of the most beautiful paintings ever, and that depicts John 18, which is one of my favorite things ever written, which is shown in this movie when Christ is brought before Caiaphas and he's given the chance to say, no, I'm not the Son of God, and he refuses. And he knows that it's going to lead to his certain torture and death, and he refuses anyway. I think it's one of the most inspiring, beautiful things ever written. And what I do love about scripture is how barren, especially the Gospels are, how much interpretation there is. And, well, what was he doing these 33 years in between his birth and his martyrdom? What specifically happened with the passage where it's like, and then he was whipped and then they put a crown of thorns on him? Yeah, you can do a lot with that. And I love movies that interpret those very bare passages in specific ways that clearly connect with the filmmaker. And clearly what Mel Gibson was really caught up on was the torture shit that is really brushed over in the Bible. And yeah, I think this is the best Bush era movie, because this is like the most post 9/11. This is for casual church going housewives to go and see and be like, oh wow, I had no idea he went through all that. That's pretty crazy, right?
Have y'all seen this documentary, The Passion?
Right. No, exactly. I think this is for people that are honestly too stupid to go through the Bible, interpret it themselves, meditate on it like you're supposed to if you're a practicing Christian. I think this is a movie for people that want to be told what to think. And that makes it a great movie in some ways, but I personally fucking hated it.
So
what a journey. I did not know we were going to land that plane. I hope flight risk is half as good as that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think this is a brilliant piece of propaganda, one of the most convincing for if you're already converted. And it's a brilliant piece of both propaganda, confirming your specialness, like, wow, Jesus did all that for me. Gosh. But if you're not converted and you're not familiar with the Gospels, this movie doesn't really work as a story. You think at the starting he's like suffering through God telling him, hey man, you got to do this for these people. He's like, that's too much of a burden. I can't do it. So there is like set up something that's almost heroic about his sacrifice. But I don't feel it really follows through on that from a narrative perspective. So really, this is not for me, but I think for the people, like Jack was saying, I'm not going to call him stupid because I'm not. Sorry, he's a Zoomer. It's fine. But it's I think for those people of reinforcing all those things and all that specialness, the individual specialness that has made Christianity the most popular religion, one of the most popular religions in the world. But since I'm not a part of it, it kind of leaves me. I start noticing the things like the Spirit of Halloween costumes. And all the times where the sadistic Roman soldiers are, I mean, they're all cast like former UFC fighters or something. Their faces are all smashed. Their grins are all disgusting. And then you have like these moments of the camera cutting to someone who is worried and concerned and expressing empathy. And I think those are the people, and the brilliant part of the propaganda of this is those are the people that the people watching are like, that would be me.
Yeah,
I would be that person who's looking upon this going like, oh man, I feel so much for this person. Because we're not going to relate to Jesus. We're not going to relate to the Marys or any of the big dogs from the Bible. But
or the Romans or the Jews, unfortunately.
Well, there are some Romans like Pee-Pee. That guy's like given a lot of like, he's like, I really don't want to do this, but I guess I gotta.
Did you call him Pee-Pee?
Yeah. Call him Pee-Pee. That was what his wife called him in the movie. I think.
No, you're right. You're right, Ken. It's wild to see, for me, a Christian movie about the execution of Jesus, whose message is like, not all Romans.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But mostly Jews.
Yeah. We should talk about the portrayal of the Jewish sect in this movie at some point, and Mel Gibson's own personal moral
I almost
failings.
expected that alien from the Phantom Menace to show up at some point.
Watto's just flying around.
But let's continue to go around the horn, I guess. Ryan, you've seen this 3 times.
Yes. This is a very complicated. So I like to follow Ebert's idea of movie reviews and such, where you're not rating the content of the film, but how the film presents its content, whether it's successful in doing so.
Yes.
This, much like American Sniper, presents a real problem for me because, to Ken and Jack's points, I do think that this is everything that Gibson wanted to say in the movie. It's all there. And as I said earlier, I think much of it is beautiful and very well executed. But because it is just pure propaganda, as far as all the stuff that he put in there to make people think like this is really what happened, that makes it a total turnoff for me. So it's not, I don't think it's, I didn't like watching it. I think it's very good at what it's trying to do. And ultimately, I think it was very damaging for society at large. So
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That is a powerful piece of propaganda if you think about it.
yeah.
I think it's up there with like Triumph of the Will and some other pieces that basically as a film, how it's put together, minus the slow motion, it's astounding of how successful it is and what it wants to do.
Thomas?
Yeah. I mean, I guess too that about its success, as I thought about it, like this definitely has more movie than most Bible movies. Like it has when I say a lot of movie, it has all the slow motion. I think it looks good. I don't think I would approve of most of the choices, but I do think that it looks good. Like it's not poorly lit. It doesn't have shitty film stock. They know where to put a camera. There's some great camera movements in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see like Darren Aronofsky watching this saying, I think I can make Noah work. Right?
Yeah.
Because because I could see like, oh, okay, yeah, that would make sense. And you know what? Both people who, read the Torah and people who have the New Testament, they could all like it's in both, right? Like the Venn diagram gets bigger. It's 4 quadrants. I don't know what those would be, but yeah. Oh, it would be like what? It would be people who liked for Noah, people who liked the who liked the Bible, who liked the Torah, who like Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And who like to get high and go to movies.
Yeah.
I mean, how could it not succeed? I did think the first time watching this, being that 4th quadrant, I watched it stoned. I was like, that was a breezy movie for a history movie. Right?
Uh-huh.
Like if this was because I'm thinking about like Lincoln and other biopics, right? And I'm like, wow, that was pretty quick. But I think on my second viewing, I was like, man, this thing's slogging along.
Mm.
And the reason for that is maybe, I think it's fascinating that Gibson was like, I'm going to do a Jesus pick, and I'm only going to do the Passion. And so I'm going to limit the amount of flashbacks that I have to any teachings of Jesus, to anything kind of outside of this long period of suffering. The problem with that for me watching it is that it makes me question the Bible more as I'm watching it. And then the second part is that because there's like, I felt more on Judas's side than I think I've ever have in my life. Because when you have a movie that has no discussion of power dynamics, that Jesus is a revolutionary, that he is trying to Robin Hood at some level to get rid of wealth disparities, and you leave all the kind of the politics out and you only focus on spiritual stuff, you lose why the Jews would say, why the Sadducees and Pharisees and others would say like, no, this guy needs to die. This guy's breaking the law. And why the Romans would say, let's torture the shit out of this dude and crucify him. And so instead you get like weird stuff where like Jesus's cross takes like a year to put up, but the other two thieves are like, oh, we're up here. Like there's just, it's that focus on him that for me loses, like it loses me as a viewer, because I really wanted to watch this film and like it and have it be like, I guess people's reaction to Apocalyptico.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not have that, I think, for those reasons, for some of those decisions being made.
To your point, Thomas, a crux of a lot of evangelical-based entertainment is that it's ostensibly supposed to be evangelical in the sense that it's supposed to call people to the Christian religion. But it's so full of in-references, and it makes so few references to the outside world that it really is not for a larger audience, and leaving out all of Jesus's works to focus on his death. You know, if you don't know very much about Jesus and you go to see this movie, there's nothing in this movie that should convert you, you know.
1,000%, Ryan, because watching this, I thought, oh, this is probably what Ryan experienced if you have no Bible understanding of Larry Clark's Elephant, where there's they're not saying anything. They're just
who's Elephant
on the screen.
wait, Larry Clark did not make an elephant, man.
I'm sorry, not Larry Clark.
David Lynch made Elephant Man.
Thanks.
Well done. Which elephant?
The 1989, the one with about the Troubles.
Alan Clark.
Alan Clark is what I meant to say. Yeah. not the guy who keeps emailing Jack and me. So there's like two parts to that, right? So there's like, so there's speaking Aramaic, and Latin and a little bit of Hebrew, which at some level to my mind was like, that's great, that's fascinating, I love that. And the other side of it, I'm like, oh, people going to watch this film, they're watching a film with subtitles, and so they feel like this is smart or a documentary. And I have like, I'm ambivalent about that part, right? But then you watch a film and Jesus doesn't even do all the hits. Like if I recently went and saw the Who cover band, and if they just put like B-sides and things I'd never heard of, I would be pissed. I wouldn't hear My Generation if you're a cover band.
Right.
And so there's like choices being made there that are interesting. So I respect that like Gibson stuck by, because originally he even went subtitles.
Oh wow!
For the film, and so that's interesting, right? I mean, that would be a lot more like Alan Clark's Elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I also feel. Oh wait. So last bit. I wonder if this is how my mom feels going and watching Endgame 2, like the second half of it, or what was it? The Marvel second
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, the second one. Like if she had saw nothing else and she just took her grandkids to go watch a Marvel movie, because there's a lot of in references, like you said, Ryan, but you have to kind of know the text already.
Yeah,
very much so.
Hey, Thomas, I have a question for you for the Who cover band. What was their finale?
Oh shoot, I don't recall. I had to put it in the show notes.
Okay,
I'd ask somebody with a better memory, which is my spouse.
Because I mean, they have so many great songs. I don't. Bob O'Reilly would probably be the one that I would.
It's got to be Bob O'Reilly. Yeah.
I'm surprised, Thomas. You know who the Who is? I thought you'd be too young for that. I don't know.
Well, I have really. I have an older spouse, and so I went with her. She really wanted to see the Led Zeppelin cover band.
Oh wow, that sounds fun.
I have a hot take.
Go for it.
I think most stories, this one is no exception, this movie, are less interesting when you have Satan involved. Or some sort of devil-like figure. So
you think The Exorcist would be better without... I would agree, actually.
Yeah.
If there was no supernatural element to The Exorcist and it's just crazy people.
Yeah, because then the notion of faith for the people watching it would come into play. And that's one of the central tenets of Christianity since Reformation.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, exactly. Well said. And you would lose probably the best shot in the movie, which is the scary demon baby.
Oh, yeah.
But you could still have that without it being Satan. No, I think specifically what irked me so much about this was the Judas storyline, which is fucking ridiculous and indefensible, by the way. You have like 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes interspersed every once in a while. Judas is running around. Oh, did you guys hear the rattling of chains in the background? Or when he falls over in the city, do you see the flames in the background? Or the rotting corpse flies on it? Do you guys get those references to him being in hell? Very clever, very smart. It goes on forever, and there's a bunch of like Scooby-Doo jump scares. Like a terrible CGI ghost runs at the camera for some reason. And it is such a lazy, just bad filmmaking shortcut way of portraying another one of my favorite stories from the Bible, which is the end of Judas, him not being tormented by the fact that he betrayed Jesus necessarily, but being tormented by the idea that Jesus still would forgive him, and not being able to reconcile with that, he takes his own life. I think that's another great little parable right there. And instead, in this movie, it's just the devil is sending kids to throw rocks at him. I don't understand it. It's so stupid.
Well, and that gets at...
But here's the problem I have at some level is that if you have Judas having hallucinations, which is the first time the kids come, and he's like running away from them, and then they weren't there at all. It's not just that they had scary faces and that was his hallucination, but there's just no kid, like those kids playing with the ball. They just don't exist at all, and they're all in his head. Then you're like, well, is he psychotic? And you can't have that in your religious story if you want to have religion make sense to me.
Yeah.
If you can't have people who have visions and people who are schizophrenic and say like, oh, this one, they're obviously having visions, and this one, they're actually having a psychotic episode. It's really hard for me as a skeptic to have those two things in the same space.
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
It's also so it's part of Catholic theological debate and contemplation for hundreds and hundreds of years that if Judas's betrayal was necessary for the crucifixion, then could Judas have been really doing something wrong? In other words, like if Judas doesn't sell out Jesus, Jesus never gets crucified.
Yeah.
Crucifixion's how he saves the world.
I had the same thought about the Jews, right?
Yeah.
Like, are they not, like, they're in this film, the push for crucifixion, is that not God's divine hand forcing them to do that?
Yeah.
But the bigger question I had,
the
bigger question I had, and maybe you could help me with this, Ryan, through your lens of watching it, is, did Jesus know that he was going to be crucified and come back in 3 days? Because it seems like Mary does, but it doesn't seem like anybody else in the film knows that that's the actual plan. Did I just miswatch this film twice? Because people don't. There doesn't seem to be any prophecy of like, I'm coming back in 3 days. Set your clocks.
No, yeah.
And instead, it seems like Mary's like, oh, this is part of the plan. And everybody else is like, this fucking sucks. We need to get this guy off that cross because he's going to die, and then we don't have a Messiah.
Yeah. No, that is all of the interiority for Mary in this movie is from those external sources. Yeah. So typically the controversy around the crucifixion is whether Jesus knows that it is that he has to die. And a lot of Catholics in this movie fall on the side of like, yes, he was aware that there was this larger plan that he was participating in. Funnily enough, one of the big theological turning points for this discussion is the translation of Jesus's last words, which in this film and in the way I was taught is "it is accomplished," which suggests that it was a goal, a plan that has now reached its finality with his death, versus a lot of the other translations are "it is finished," which is just like, "Oh, I'm dying now."
Wow.
I guess that leads me to one of the things I thought was terrible, but I wanted to say something that I liked as well, kind of balance out that compliment sandwich or that critique sandwich where the shit in the middle. I'm going to start with when he says that, he looks up and there's like a raindrop that comes from heaven and you see it through it. I was like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. And then it like crashes into the ground and then there's earthquakes. Terrible.
Yeah.
But opposite of the Judas thing that Jack was taking exception to. Usually when I think about the denying Christ 3 times, that's Peter, I think. And growing up, it was just like a very casual, like, hey, do you know who Jesus is? And he's like, nope.
Yeah.
Never heard of the guy. You're probably mispronouncing it because they say what, Jeshua or something like this in the film. Anyway, but in this, it makes perfect sense because that crowd is mad, right? That's a crowd right about to tar and feather people, right? That is a crowd angry for blood. And I think it captures really well in a realistic way, saying like, no, I denying 3 times before. And I don't even know if we hear a cock crow or not.
No. I thought it would be great.
But if you don't know that story, then you're my mom watching the second half of Endgame.
I think what I've gained from this discussion is that there should have been an Ocean's 11 series of flashbacks at the end in between his death and him rising, where you see them planning it the whole time.
Ocean's 12, you mean?
Ocean's 12, excuse me. Yeah, they're poring over maps. They've got someone that's going to roll the boulder out.
They've got a sun table, sundial. I mean, they're saying when it hits this time, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, they're all standing around the table that he built, laying out blueprints.
This is great for standing and eating.
We should sell this to Applebee's. Make it a little smaller, round, so you can't really put all of your, what is it, bloomin' onion? No, that's the other one.
Thomas, I was watching this movie. I was like, man, fuck Thomas for making us watch this. But after having this discussion with you all and listening, particularly Ryan, with your background, it was great.
Yeah.
So I've come back around. You could pick another one in a couple years.
All right, Dogma.
Woo! No, agreed. I really quite liked a lot of this movie, and I thought it generated some interesting discussion. The slow-mo just makes it such a slog to get through. I can't see myself wanting to watch it again anytime soon.
Oh, and you guys are Arrested Development fans, right? I don't know about Ryan.
Yeah.
It's the Middle Eastern music in Arrested Development whenever they mention Iraq. And then there's like a bullet on a character, and it has every time the music came up, that's all I could think of was Arrested Development.
Okay, so this movie needs Ocean's 12 flashbacks and Ron Howard narration. And then it's perfect.
Agreed. But he has to do it in Aramaic. Yeah, I'm interested in these sequels that Gibson's going to make. I have a great deal of doubt. I should have faith, I guess. That he is in a place as a director to get back to where he was in like the Braveheart through Apocalypto era, which was some fine filmmaking, and particularly Apocalypto, I think, is his best movie as director. It's just fucking great action movie, but also a movie, you know?
Yeah. Yes, I'm curious about the resurrection movies. I was talking about The Passion last night with some other lapsed Catholics, and it will be fascinating because unless he draws on Dante or something like this, there's really not any violence in the story that he's about to cover. So,
or sadism or torture.
Yeah. So it'll be the first time since The Man Without a Face that he's made a movie that doesn't have these giant action set pieces in them, and whether he can actually accomplish that kind of filmmaking.
He'll find a way.
Yeah, I mean, Man Without a Face is about a man who, I mean, he's disfigured and he's almost torturing himself in a lot of ways. He plays a tortured character.
Right.
Even though it's not a movie about the sadism or torture, there's a lot of self-loathing in it. He has to find that at the very least.
Does that star Liam Neeson? He doesn't feel any pain?
No.
Yeah.
And he can only wear a mask for like 99 minutes before it dissolves.
Yeah. That's the one. Yep.
Okay. I like that one. That one was good.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah. Is that Christmas in it? We could do that as a Christmas adjacent movie.
So maybe somebody listening is as ignorant as I am. What's the next? It's like 2 films that he's planning on releasing.
Yeah.
But what are they supposed to cover?
Jesus' journey?
Yes, I believe it's still a little bit of a mystery, but Mel Gibson says that the script is like a crazy acid trip. And I believe it's going to cover what happens with Mary and the disciples in the 3 days that he is in the cave. And then everything, probably up to sending the apostles out to start preaching. So all of his appearances after his resurrection, before his ultimate ascent into heaven.
Yeah, he goes on an Eras tour.
Yeah.
Lord.
Well, you got to appeal to the. Are we done with talking about the Passion?
I'm done.
Okay, I have. It's Christmas time. Merry Christmas, you guys.
Thanks.
I'm going to announce on the podcast the gifts that I got you all. Okay. For Jack, my only son, he's sitting right here. I got you a cameo. And it's by Damien.
Oh my
Leone.
God.
To get a discount on Cameo, I had to tell them that you were 11 and had leukemia, that you're probably dying. The good news is that in the Cameo, he promises Art the Clown in Terrifier 4 will disembowel a boy dying of leukemia and hang him by his entrails. And what he hopes is, and this is his quote in it, is an edgy location like a house or a school.
Spoilers.
Okay, well,
Fuck
anyway.
off.
Okay, so for Thomas, I also got you a cameo.
Should I? I'm gonna have to take my headphones off. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to get spoiled.
All right, so for you, another cameo. You know, Shirley MacLaine. She's still around, right? And yet, there is an 8-year-old Filipino sensation on TikTok, Babalato Trinidad, who claims to be the reincarnation of Shirley MacLaine and her other previous lives. And the kid has so much intimate knowledge of MacLaine's life, she herself has endorsed him. I asked for some fun Billy Wilder and Jack Lemmon anecdotes, and Babalato completely delivers. The only thing is that you need to speak Tagalog. And for Ryan, because you're a huge perv, I bought you a rare and elusive celebrity sex tape. Yeah, it's the one of Paul Dano, fucking Quentin Tarantino's wife. Which explains a lot. I hope you like it. And I can't wait to see what you guys got me for Christmas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
So we how many movies did we watch this year for the podcast?
Thanks.
A lot.
Do we want to run down like our favorite movie or movie experience that we had? 39 films, that includes Dark Place, which is a TV show.
Yeah.
We'll go with Jack since Jack was
30.
Yeah, we had
That
the
includes
end of
rewatches as
the
well,
4x4.
right?
We had the Von Triers, then we had the Redux, and then we had the 1x1, and then Squib Season the rest of the year, and Dark Place, and The Passion.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best rewatch that I had was Mona Lisa because of how much I disliked it the first time, and now it's one of my very favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first watch, I think The Boss of It All is the best movie we've covered all year. As far as worst goes, probably from the same director as best, Answer in the Dark.
No.
And worst
No.
rewatch, I don't think I had a worst rewatch. I mean, I still don't really like To Live and Die in LA, so maybe that. But yeah, shout out Lars von Trier.
Thomas, what you got?
I still think all 4 films by Lars von Trier are amazing, and I am very glad that Boss of It All landed because I enjoyed it, but I didn't know how it fit in with other people's expectations on the podcast. I am happy now that I have seen and don't need to see again, but the podcast gave me an excuse to watch American Sniper, 1517 to Paris, and Passion of the Christ. None of those films I would recommend to another human being watch, but I am glad that I have filled in that part of filled in that. Well, I feel like I have a hole in my head from watching those. But filled in like a gap in my knowledge. My biggest disappointment probably was Way of the Gun, and I still have that DVD. If anybody wants to write in to our Gmail account,
or text us
mail
in
it to you. I will pay
in
the
the comments
postage
if you're on Spotify. Ryan, how about you?
Let's see. I can't really go with one best first watches, but I will say that The Element of Crime and The Boss of It All by Von Trier were great. I really liked 1517 to Paris, and I really liked White Hunter Black.
My man.
And and then there were a lot of fantastic rewatches this year for me. First Blood and The Terminator, Hedwig, Risky Business, Mystery Road, RoboCop. Those were all highlights. And then American Sniper was probably the worst of my first watches. American Sniper tied with The Whale.
Yeah, American Sniper is actually the worst. I forgot that we that one.
For me, I'm going to agree with Jack. Boss of It All was my favorite first watch of the year. That was one of the best, funniest, surprising movie experiences at home anyway of the year. For a rewatch, there's so many great movies we did for Squib season, but Alan Clark's Elephant was probably the one, and Element of Crime, Lars von Trier, that I had seen before, and I didn't realize how much they impacted me until watching them again, and how much of their imagery and tone kind of have followed me since I watched them initially. Also, it gave me an excuse this year to rewatch every single Mystery Road movie and TV show. That was a lot of fun. And worst, it's probably going to be American Sniper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a consensus. Woo! Well done, fellas and Liz. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully 2026 won't be the worst year of the podcast. But if it is,
nicely said.
We've had some good years.
James Gray begins in the first Friday in January, not actually the second Friday. That'd be the second, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't get our listener upset. You know how fervent they are about accurate dates.
Yep.
So what's our first pairing?
Yes. It's going to be Armageddon Time and
Little Odessa, I think, is the first one.
Yes.
Little Odessa. Yes.
Okay, Little Odessa and Armageddon Time. Cool. And Gray is currently in, I think it might be post-production by now of a new movie that we'll have to round back around and watch when it comes out later next year.
If we like any of his films.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is exciting. We're going in cold.
Yeah.
Looking forward to slogging with you guys next year.
I can't wait to know what my gift is, what my cameo was.
Okay. Ryan, thank you for the theme song.
Just to reiterate, you guys have never seen any James Gray movies. So this will be a new adventure for all of you.
Yeah, can't wait. Thanks for the theme song, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks for editing the podcast and the stipend.
Uh-huh. You're welcome. And thank you, Thomas, for the show notes. Always a delight when they appear in my inbox.
Show enough.
All right. Bye, guys. Happy holidays to our listener.
Merry Christmas if you're not a woke liberal.
Yep.
You know what that makes us together? Together, that makes us flash gorgeous.
Flash gorgeous.
I'm not talking at you, I'm talking to you.
Flash gorgeous.
I don't want to hear about you, I want to hear from you.
It's 10-4.
10-4, buddies. Destroy. Kill all hippies.
I don't hate it, I just don't know why you're straight from the formula.
You bastards! You don't know it, Bob. I'm an artist! And I must reflect that in my rhyme.
Well, this is hot content.
To my knowledge, there's no acknowledged or unacknowledged Catholic testimony about the creation of the first table.
Thou shalt not react prior to the summary of the plot, at least. Huh.
Great. Okay, so this movie needs Ocean's 12 flashbacks and Ron Howard narration.
To live and die in LA.